Hello there, Daniel.
Hello
Can
there,
you hear
Christian.
me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Awesome stuff.
Good
I just
morning.
realized. Yeah, good morning. Um, is there like an hour limit on this then? Because like
Yeah,
Zoom has like an hour. Okay, okay,
yeah, yeah.
cool.
But that's okay because we are not planning to go too long. We will save that for
Yeah.
your channel. Also 22nd February.
Yes, I think that's the
Yes,
date we decided on. Yes.
but
Yeah, just in case. My apologies if that was sort of jumped at. Bob sort of just threw that out there, and I didn't want to make it seem as if I was sort of just going with that and just ignoring this. Um, like in case you got that impression.
no, I
It was
didn't.
so okay, okay, good.
It's all good. It's all good, and it will be with Mel from Islamic Orange and not Orange, Islamic Origins. I have
That's
problems to say
what.
that. And Bob and you and myself. Yeah, 22nd February. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff,
Okay, so
man.
we got that good. Are you ready to go? I will not take too long of your time.
Yeah, should be. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I think that we will save. I'm working on a little PowerPoint presentation for the 22nd February. Today I thought we'll just go through some of the. Basically, it was four types of comments I got this past month on my eight videos on the myths, fables, and legends in Islam or in the Quran. And I thought we'll just address some of those, and I will also talk a little bit more about the particular legend of Alexander the Great in the Quran, and you will share some thoughts and insight also about what you have. And yeah, we'll try and make this a half hour or so max. So yeah,
Cool. Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
sounds good to
So
me.
then we will start with I don't know if I can. I am really not doing this so often, but I think I'll try and share my screen. I can do that on Zoom. You cannot make fun of me in StreamYard like last time. Yeah, everyone, you have to go and see Chris's video. Me and him had together. He made very good fun of me at the end. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. So
That's all
can
good fun.
okay, so you can see that.
Yep, I can see that. Yep.
Let me see. I'll have to move this and I can make a full screen. Oh, this is the wrong slide. There we go. That's basically the screenshots of my my eight shorts about legend, fables, and in the Quran. So it's basically the Quran has, as far as I counted, is they have eight myths, legends, and fables in the Quran, and I addressed those in short YouTube videos and telling about where they are traced to and how when they appear. And yeah, people can check those out. They are under the shorts category on my channel. And yeah, Chris, did you watch these videos?
Oh yes, yes I
Yeah,
did. I
yeah,
was even in the comments section,
yeah. I saw you.
sort of arguing with some Muslims
Yeah,
just because it's interesting
yeah.
what they were saying to defend against these obvious copies that have found their way into the Quran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure was. And this one was my favorite. Can you see that, or are we facing this? Can you see this
Yep, I can see
comment?
it. Yep.
That was my favorite comment, but that was the only one. The other four are not like these. The categories of four, but this one is hilarious. Basically, we have a Muslim here saying that just like the Torah was corrupted, it happened with the Quran too, bro. So, or
I
like,
like how he makes it sound like here, this has always been what they've said. They've
yeah.
always said that the Quran was corrupted like the Torah. Always.
I hope he does not live in a Muslim majority country because that's a dangerous comment to make. That saying that the Quran is corrupted.
Yeah.
My thought just jumped to also that he obviously is not aware of that Allah affirms the inspiration, preservation, and the authority of both Torah and the Gospel. So
Yeah.
if it's corrupted, then the Quran, then Islam is false. But if it's not,
Absolutely.
but if they are not corrupted, then also Islam is false because they contradict Islam on core theological points. That goes both
Yep.
for Christianity and for Judaism. So we have a problem here. But We will not sit on this because I will not say that most Muslims will say this, but it was just funny. We are addressing the top 4 ones. I can probably stop sharing the screen now just for the top 4 comments that I got, and I went through all of them on social medias that I got, both on Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube, and there really was like 4 types of comments. You can all narrow them down to 4, with the exception of maybe with this one we just saw. And I will count down from 4, so from the least to the most. But there were still many of these on number 4 and 3 and stuff. But the first most frequent comment I got was attacking my character. So
That's always the one of the top ones.
Do you does that ring a bell for you at the corner and for your online ministry and stuff also, Chris?
Oh yes, yes it does. To be honest, I always expected that this would be just, you know, part of the course, that when you evangelize to Muslims, you're going to get a lot of people that just, you know, think of names to call you, think of excuses as to why they won't debate you, as to why you're somehow so wrong it doesn't even need to be said. You know, it's that kind of thing. But it's just petty stuff, really.
It is. It's tried to poison the well, discredit your character, not dealing with the argument, but just attacking your character. And I've been doing this for evangelism to Muslims and dealing with Islam for 4 years. So I'm very, very much expected it as well. And you can get some mean things said, some really mean things or naughty things said about yourself, your life, and your family even. It's normal. And it's called ad hominem fallacy. And it's you use that, you lost the argument, you lost the debate already. It's
Absolutely,
and it's just how it is. That was one of the top 4, and top 3, Chris. You will never guess what else we have on the list. A very common one.
Very common one. I'm gonna go with, it doesn't matter that they're there. It's totally fine that the Quran borrows from other things.
Oh, you are skipping. You are skipping ahead.
I'm skipping one.
You are that we will get to that one. But the third one was attacking the Bible.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I should have got that one. That's definitely one that we get all the time.
Oh yes, that's the common one, and that is what we call Tuco fallacy or red herring fallacy. Basically, you are distracting from the argument and pointing out something that is not on the topic on the table, or you basically, well, you have attempting to make like you have it too. That I don't know if I don't have my book on logic lying here. I only have this from latest one from Gary Habermas. I'm reading that one now.
Yes. How far are you through that, by the way?
Yeah, that is over 1,000 pages. I'm a maximal case person, so I like to make liability or defend the liability of the gospel and attack with that. But there are some valuable stuff in there, so I'm definitely working myself through it. But anyway, I was saying that no, I don't have. But I think that this is not just for Muslims, but particularly Muslims when I talk about how. But many should read a book about logic and about the fallacies and stuff, because I've seen it a lot online, and I'm not trying. I've written this in all my videos. Now take me as a random guy on the internet. I don't care about my credentials or showing stuff like this. This is not. But I just want to present the data, and people can make up their own mind. But really, a good start for many people, for many Muslims who are arguing online and stuff, just pick up a book of logic. You know, this is very common fallacies, and once you are familiarized with it, you can have better debates. And yeah. What are your thoughts about this, Chris? You see that a lot in Speaker's Corner and your channel?
Yeah. So, I mean, there aren't that many Muslim debaters who actually care enough about logic to even do that. I mean, from their perspective, they can simply say, well, revelation trumps logic. So we're just going to go with what the Quran is and just start off with an assumption that the Quran is correct. And I mean, the Quran tells you how to deal with people. I mean, so do the hadiths. I mean, there's a hadith of, I think it's like Abu Bakr telling, and how do I say this without being explicit? It's something like Abu Bakr tells someone to go suck on the female parts of Alat. And that's an actual thing that he says. And that's something that the companions said. So, you know, if the companions acted that way in debate and discussion, then it seems like they have a mandate to do that as well. So I don't think most Muslims, I think, just won't be interested in like that kind of thinking. There are like, so for example, I don't know if you're familiar with Sig, but he's a Christian debater at Speaker's Corner, and he very much calls out the fallacies that they make, to quoque being one of the most common ones, because they just always throw it back to, oh, but in the Bible it says this, or in Christianity it says this. But they're just they're often just not that concerned about it, you know, which is sad. I wish they were more concerned about it. But they don't have the same Western tradition or going all the way back to the Greek understanding of logic. It's just not a thing for them, I guess.
No,
but I would love it if it was.
Yeah, we would have better debates and stuff also. And what you're saying there is, it's not like you are, it's not like you are misrepresenting Muslims or Quran either. I mean, we saw earlier this this very funny Muslim comment. He called me bro. I appreciate that, but we know that many passages in the Quran, we Christians like me and you, we are called the worst of preachers. Surah 98 verse 6. So this is consistent with Islam. Now let's just rush to the next one. Number 3 on the list was I wrote it down here. You were almost hinting at it now when I asked you guess what it is. But the third most popular, or the second most popular comment that I got collecting all these was that these fables, legends, and myths really did happen.
I love that one. That's one of my favorite ones.
That is a good one. Do you have some initial first thoughts about the problems with that?
So first of all, it establishes a relationship between what was revealed to other authors who were not Muslims in any sense. Some of them were Trinitarian Christians. Some of them were rabbinic Jews. Some of them would have been pagans, and probably a good variety in between. It establishes a relationship that the Quran, in some sense, was given to them before it was given to Muhammad. So that would mean that the Quran is not a unique revelation just given to Muhammad through Jibreel, but rather actually given to quite a few people. And that also means that if Allah protects his words, which is in the Quran, and supposedly that's referring to the Quran, that would mean that these texts that are centuries before Muhammad to random other authors are also divinely protected. So that they end up in a really weird situation where the Quran is actually not just what Muhammad said, it actually includes lots of other stuff that came before, which is a really sort of difficult position for Muslims to be in.
Yeah, it sure is. And isn't that Allah sent apparently 100,000, 129,000 prophets to the nations before Muhammad also? Is the hadith about that? It's looking back in my head now. Yes, that is also a problem. I mean, I don't recall any Vikings in Norway preaching the message of Islam and Kaaba and all. But anyway, I digress.
True.
Now let's
Same for England.
yeah, with the Celts and all this stuff you got over there. So let's deal with the first one, and that is maybe I should put in like a drum solo in or like this in the edit to make it exciting.
Yes, definitely do.
Okay, so the number 1 comment was, it must be true because Muhammad was illiterate, so there's no way he could have copied these. And
Oh.
I'm not joking. I just saw one comment like that this morning, again on one of these videos. So uh, most of the videos, this was the top comment on all social media, a comment in a way like this. Must be true. There's no way it could be false because Muhammad was illiterate. So there's no way he could have copied it. Now, I know what you will say. But I just have to say this first. Honestly, this is just a really dumb thing to say because considering again in the Quran itself, Muhammad again and again is accused of plagiarism by the Jews, the Christians, the pagans. Muhammad even earns a nickname, the ear, because he would go and listen to stories and he will retell them with his own spin and stuff, which we'll look a little bit more on after now. And he will just listen and he will repeat what he heard with his own spin twist. You can find this multiple places in the Quran. You can look up Surah 25, verse 5, 27, verse 68, 68, 15, 83, 13, many, many more. So yeah, this is, I was quite surprised that they would go this far and say, but then again, it comes to what we were talking a little bit about with logic earlier, but it's a bit weird. But what are your thoughts about it?
What I think's really sad about this is if you took someone who wasn't a Muslim and you explained to them that someone couldn't have copied someone's work because that person was illiterate, people would immediately see the problem in that, especially if
Yeah,
they knew each other, right? It would be like, well, hang on a second. He could have just talked to that person and asked that person what they will write, and then he himself knows that knowledge. I mean, it's quite simple, really.
yeah,
But because they're told that this is a good argument, they repeat the argument without ever stopping to think about what it is they're actually saying.
mm,
And I think I just find that really sad, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to be in a position where my faith was based on things like that, because that would just get torn apart. As soon as you come across someone who can just say, "Hey, there is a big flaw in the way you're thinking about that." And I mean, we can go even further in this. Like, there's hadith that makes it seem quite clear that Muhammad did write. So that's another problem. So it might not even necessarily be true that Muhammad was illiterate.
yeah,
But even assuming he was, yeah, that doesn't stop him from learning stories. I mean, illiterate doesn't mean stupid.
yeah,
Illiterate just means that you're not able to read and write. But you can
yeah.
still hear stories, memorize stories in an oral tradition, which is what his culture supposedly was, and then repeat those stories. That's very
Exactly,
easy. It's yeah,
exactly.
and like you said, the Quran tells people Muhammad is well known for hearing stories and repeating them.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
And I just came across this because I remember in Sahih al-Bukhari 5669 and other hadiths also, they talk about Muhammad being on his deathbed. Deathbed. I have to learn English. And he basically he asked for pen and paper to like write a statement that will not let the people go astray. Uh, so that's interesting if you're illiterate. I have to I have to drink a little. I have to drink a little bit because I'm having a little cold. I haven't drank enough camel urine. Um, so, but
That's
but
all right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Uh, but regarding this argument, they start. I think much of the argument, or what they're saying, is basically they are starting with the presupposition that Muhammad is just the perfect example for all mankind, which it's in the Quran, and there's no way there can be anything immoral with him. And they are not even. They are like it's just very narrow and not a little bit looking at the wider perspective. So there's no. But I even have hard time to steel man their position on this point because
Yeah.
it's just so natural for us as humans to because these are things we experience in our day. Like of course, a baby or yourself or something you didn't read but you heard, you can retell it. It's I don't see how you can basically hold to this type of logic.
Yeah, I
even if you
mean,
try.
this is the thing. If you wanted to steelman it, basically you would have to say something like, because he's illiterate, he's also not very intelligent. That's you see what I mean? And
Yeah,
obviously they don't mean to say that, but that's what they're kind of implying. Like, there's
yeah,
no way he could have got these stories because he just wasn't clever enough to have known them. And it's like,
yeah,
no, come on.
yeah.
This is silly stuff.
But I just want to touch something more, a little bit more before we end it here. We will do more of this on your channel in a couple of weeks,
Yep, yep.
and all. But what I also just want to say, because I did saw a few comments in on these videos, especially the one with Alexander the Great, and what I'm the thing is that what I am presenting is what most early Muslim scholars and commentators believed. They believed that Dhul Qarnayn was Alexander the Great. You can see this, for example, in Tafsir al-Jalalain and others. And I'm not, I mean, even one of the most prominent scholars and translators of Quran, Yusuf Ali, he defended this. So,
Well, what I would say is the fact that Dhul Qarnayn translates as the two-horned one.
yep.
And in history, there is a very well-known, famous person who was depicted as having two horns,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Alexander the Great.
Yep.
And Alexander the Great, like, so you can't sort of underestimate exactly how well known and how famous his story was. People wrote like fiction about him, like fan fiction about him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his efforts in conquering like the Middle East and the Far East is like amazing.
It's
What he
fascinating.
achieved.
Mm.
So I mean, there are other reasons as well, but the actual name itself kind of gives it away, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a bit like I don't know, someone. If I said someone who shoots web out of their hands, I'm obviously talking about Spider-Man.
Mm.
Like, I'm not, like, it's very hard to sort of like spin that to be talking about someone else, right? There are
Yeah.
certain things that we have that are just to specific people, and the two-horned one is specifically about Alexander the Great.
And did you know that right after his death, they were minting coins about on him, silver coins with two ram horns or with ram horns,
Yes,
and
indeed, yeah.
this was in the first century BC, so over 700 years before Muhammad came to scene, and these were the primary currency in Arabia. So this Alexander the Great was really popular, and he was really well known in Arabia also because his silver coin was basically the primary currency in Arabia at that time, and it lasted from it was minted to almost 1,000 years before it was replaced. And I want to quote something from a book by Van Bladel in his book Alexander the Great, or the Alexander Legend in the Quran, Surah 18, verses 83 to 102. And this is from page 182. And he sums up the relation between Quran and the Syriac legend. And he writes, I quote, "Thus, quite strikingly, almost every element of this short Quranic tale finds more explicit and detailed counterpart in the Syriac Alexander legend. In both texts, the related events are given in precisely the same order. As it is, the correspondence shown earlier are still so exact that it's obvious in comparison that the two texts are at least connected very closely. They relate the same story in precisely the same order of events and using many of the same particular details." Now, what does he mean by that? Well, let me try and summarize very short and concise here. If you read the related passage in Surah 18 of the Quran and the Syriac Alexander legend, you will notice very similar language and specific details in the same order. I'm talking about keywords like two horns, established with power, journey to the mighty sea, punishment of wrongdoers, sun rises on people with no cover, travel to the valley between two mountains, Gog and Magog, spoil and ravage of the land, built a barrier made of iron and brass, cannot be breached, and destroyed at the end of times. There's a reason why majority of scholars think this is Alexander the Great, or a fiction of Alexander the Great, and even Muslim commentators, early Muslim commentators.
Yeah, Just one thing I want to add to that.
Yeah.
There's actually like tafsir about how this Quran verse was revealed.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, it's because Muhammad meets some Jewish rabbis who basically give him a challenge to test his prophethood. And one of the questions they ask is, who is like, or what is the story of Dhul Qarnayn? And basically Muhammad says, I don't know at the moment, but I'm gonna go. And then it's kind of funny, but he spends like 2 weeks or something away from the Jewish rabbis, and then he comes back and says, now I know, because now I've got revelation telling me the story. Which is really weird, because I mean, like it's so obvious, you know. Like there's a test to see if he's a prophet. He obviously fails the test. Like imagine if I was taking a test, right? Or Daniel, you were taking a test, and then you said during the test, actually, I need to go away for a while. Not because I don't know the answer, but I just need to go away. And then 2 weeks later, you come back and you're like, aha, now I'm going to tell you. Like everyone would be like, well, you obviously cheated. You obviously went away and you found the answer and then you came back.
No, Chris, because Muhammad was because I'm illiterate, so.
Oh, so you couldn't have found out?
No,
right.
No, not even in 2 weeks. No chance.
I find that story so funny. Yeah, I had someone come up to me at Speaker's Corner once who asked to be kept off camera, but he was a Muslim who had now become an Orthodox Christian. And he said one of the reasons why he did this was because of I'm trying to think of the channel's name now. Islam Critiqued, you know, with Colin. And his work with, you know, showing Dhul Qarnayn and that really just being based off these legends. That was what made him leave Islam, because he just couldn't answer why that was the case. Why it
is a problem, and we will go more into this in 22nd February on Chris's channel. Bob will be there of Speaker's Corners, and Mel from Islamic Orange. I said Orange again, didn't I? Can you say it properly?
Islamic Origins.
Islamic Origins.
Yeah, sorry, I tend to get confused and keep using his old channel name.
Yeah, Sneakers Corner, was it?
Yeah, Sneakers Corner.
Yeah.
And then even then I say that wrong, and I'd say like Speaker's Corner. And it's like, no, Sneakers Corner.
And I'm just going to blame that English is basically my third language. So I'm just...
See, that's a good excuse. That's a very good excuse.
It's a really good excuse.
See, I don't have one, right?
No, you don't.
I only know English and very weird specific parts of Arabic phrases.
All right.
You know, which I don't think counts, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I learned a bit of Arabic also, but just a few phrases. See, "Walak takulu salafatun." That means don't even say three. That's
you need to incorporate that into your like normal like routine.
I should.
If someone ever offers you three or something,
don't
even say three.
And I think one of my friends, Muslim friends, he taught me to say rainbow, kaosakosa. I think it's a very funny name. Anyway, I will leave if you're watching this video after the 22nd February, there will be a link in the pinned comments for the discussion and video and Chris's channel, where we will be talking about this further. And if you're watching it before 22nd, just keep an eye out for that video, or go to Chris's channel and subscribe if you haven't. And I thank you, Chris, for joining me this morning. And to all of you, God bless, and see you soon.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. God bless.
Expected in a book by a 7th century Arab in a desert?
Yeah!
Expected in a book that is Kalam Allah, the verbatim, uncreated and eternal Quran, word of the God?
Nope.